It's deja vu all over again. Let's get to it. It's deja vu all over again. The season of hype and hope turns into back-to-back 15 and 17 seasons with two top 5 recruits. This season turned out to be much ado about nothing. Quote Shakespeare. You won't hear that on a lot of Rutgers coverage. As the 11th seed, we lose to the number 14 USC. You know, we had first half rough start. We come fighting back. We fade in double overtime. You know, this might have been a 1-point underdog. You know, game was kind of even. These teams are similar, just like it was with Minnesota. We knew this game would be kind of competitive. These teams play similarly. We were led by Dylan Harper's 27 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Ace Bailey, 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Got into foul trouble for the second game in a row. Desmond Claude led USC with 28 points, had a tying layup, had 10 points in overtime. I think he had 30 points in that first game. What was it? We won 95-85. Wesley Yates had 24 points for USC. We can't stop opposing guards, man. It's all about the defense. Rashawn A.G. had 23 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. This guy was averaging 8 points per game. And Lathan and Tyson both had Tyson Acuff both had 16 points apiece. The Rutgers bench was solid tonight. They scored 32 points compared to USC's bench scoring 5 points. So the surrounding cast for Ace and Dylan wasn't necessarily a problem. I know a lot of people will go die on the hill that we failed Ace and Dylan. I'm not one of those guys. The pieces all didn't work together. Nonetheless, it was a tale of two halves, and we encapsulated Rutgers' personality throughout the season into one game. You know, we got off to, a 5-2 lead, and then we just got our doors blown off. We fell behind by 15 points early. Now, typically, you know, when we sprint out to a lead, we kind of give it up. You don't want to see that. We somehow do better with our backs to the wall. We got down 15, and most of that was due to shooting, in particular 3-point shooting. Rutgers was 2 for 12, and USC was 6 for 12. We're down 15 points. Dylan Harper, you know, hits some buckets, and we get it down to single digits again. I think it was like 8-9 points. And then by halftime, USC takes an 11-point lead. So it was basically our poor shooting, USC's good shooting from 3 points, and free throw shooting. USC was 9 for 9 in the first half. So that helped give them an 11-point halftime lead. Dylan led with 10 points. Nobody else had double digits. Scoring was kind of spread out. And, you know, a few minutes into the second half, you know, we're down 12 points. So like, okay, when are we going to start the claw back? And then miraculously, the defense stiffens up. We start to play defense. And we go on an 11-0 run. Dylan Harper had 7 points in a 9-2 run. And we pull ahead 65-63 after being behind for most of the game. And that lead was the last few minutes held until 8 seconds left. We were up 4 with 2 minutes left in the game. Lathan hits a shot, gets fouled, misses the foul shot on a potential 3-point play at a critical moment. The first time he misses a free throw in 4 or 5 games. He was 3 for 4 last night. He does shoot 86% and is by far our best free throw shooter. But it wasn't to be. Down the stretch in a critical moment last night, not going to kill him on that. In overtime, So we get into overtime. Claude ties it at 79 with free throws, and then he hits a couple more. USC is up by 2, and then Dylan Harper, gets a dunk, ties it up. Go into second overtime. Claude gets a bucket to start the overtime. AG gets a 3-point. USC is up 5. It gets back to 3. Wesley Yates hits a 3 to push it to 6. A couple more free throws by Claude to put it on 8. And then from that moment on, it was, we had cut it to 5 on a 3 by Tyson Acuff. Had a couple threes in overtime, and had 16 points overall. But it was not enough. We didn't have enough left in the tank, and we wind up losing 97-89, despite Rutgers scoring 31 points off turnovers to USC 7. It was not to be. There was no momentum to be carried forward here and on a tournament run. Everything that was part of our personality came out in this game. We fell behind by a lot. We clawed back in a lot. Our 3-point defense was horrendous. Second half, we pick up some defense. And, coach after the game said their press was working well, but you can't keep that up for 40 minutes. Now, your star players are quiet, then they start to pick it up. You climb back into a game, take the lead. You can't execute at the end. Rebounding. Although we were rebounding, we were up. I think we might have been up by a rebound or 2 in the first half. We wound up getting out-rebounded. Our poor 3-point shooting and our bad 3-point perimeter deep. So everything, this was a metaphor for our season. The coach after the game said it was a very choppy, disjointed season, which I've been saying all along. We'll get to more of that at the end. But I'm not shocked after being down 15 that we clawed back in and took a lead. These bottom third of Big Ten teams play similarly. They're very similar styles, inconsistent on offense. Defense, not great. And this kind of reminds me of our matchup against Minnesota. No matter what the leads were for either team, you knew it was kind of be close. Our inability to defend the 3 was a big. Sometimes the game is simple. USC was 10 for 23 from 3, 45%, including hitting those 3s in the first half that put them up double digits. We shot 6 for 30. There's very few circumstances where you're going to win shooting 6 for 30 from 3. And we couldn't defend the 3, so we were running up against it, and we just didn't have enough in the tank, despite coach saying that they gave it their all. They clawed back. They fought back. He's proud of these guys. So there will be no cracking open a Scarlet Ale to celebrate at least winning or Eric Legrand's whiskey. Celebrating at least getting 1 win in the tournament. Coach after the game, very forlorn and disappointed, not necessarily in his players, but just how things turned out. He said several times he loves these guys. He must have said it 3-4 times. Well, when reporters asked him, what'd you tell the guy? Oh, I told them I love them. They're a joy to coach. They gave it their all. They fought. He's very proud of them. If we could only see the work they put in behind the scenes, in film and practice. We only see the result on the court, and I'm sorry, coach, that's all fine and well. But this amateur athletics, it's not what it used to. It's not amateur anymore. So coaching up and mentoring these guys and having your relationships and loving your guys. Look, do you want to love your team? Love how they play together. Love how they sure. But this is big business now, and everybody's making millions. So the results have to be there. He took responsibility. He always says the right things. Kind of mixes in some excuses here and there. He took responsibility for a disjointed and choppy season, which I've said all along. He said that, they had some close games. The bounces didn't go their way. Well, they had some injuries. Tyson Acuff, even at the end of October, was still recovering. Oh, okay. Maybe if all those guys, if everything came together perfectly from the very start, maybe it's a different outcome of a season. But if everything has to go perfect in order for you to be successful, maybe it wasn't meant to be. He said they were a very young team playing 23-year-old guys. Okay, there's something to be said for experience, especially in playoff games, big games. But we saw early on what the struggles were going to be with this team. We saw it. We saw the struggles with St. Peter's. That game was way closer than it should have been. And Randolph, what do you have, 22 points? Monmouth with Bashir, what do you have, like 38 points? The loss to Merrimack, who's 18-13. Oh, I'm sorry, Kennesaw. Merrimack was much closer all game than it should have been with Clark scoring. Seton Hall was a 3-point game. So we saw our issues: perimeter defense, shooting, overall defense. We just couldn't get it done. A lot of talk early on in the season. Now they just have to come together and gel. And by the end, we'll be that team. It's like Coach said, we're too choppy. You can't be inconsistent. You have to keep grinding and pushing forward. We didn't get better, especially defensively, as the year went on. Coach is talking, well, we have 78 consecutive sellouts. People like coming here. We have the 26th recruiting class next year. I don't know about that. I've seen everywhere from 32 to 48. We'll get to that in a second. I get it. You're trying to stay positive, and Coach Michael's a good guy. He wants to stay positive, says the right things, goes about his business the right way. He actually said he couldn't get them to play defense and rebound the way that he wants. And Coach, that's the secret sauce for next year. Said this in my past video. If you want to go check out my rant of what went wrong this season, that's it. Not complicated. Not going to rehash the last video how we ranked 366th in defensive efficiency this year after being, top 10 several times. Get back to doing what you do, Coach. Recruit the way you coach your teams. Rick Pitino, he figured it out. He lost to Seton Hall at home, got knocked out in the tournament right away. He's like, I didn't recruit the way that I coach. Let me go out and get lengthy, long defenders. And that's what he did. I almost prefer under-recruited guys. We have a couple 4-stars in this year's class. Chris Nwilly from Dallas, 6'8", 205, 6'2" guard Lino Marks out of Thousand Oaks, California. Although some have him as a 3, some have him as a 4. 6'5", Caden Powers out of Seattle, 3-star. 6'9", 225, Devontae Ware out of Charlotte, another 3-star. 3 stars are okay. We had those 3-star guys named Geo Baker, Caleb McConnell, Paul McCahey, Miles Johnson. need to get back to that. Hopefully, you can find guys like that who maybe can shoot a little bit. That would be the best of both worlds. Nonetheless, back-to-back 15, 17 seasons. It's on to wrestling. Jackson Turley at 174 and heavyweight Yaroslav Slabakuski get at large bids. Anthony White 165 as an alternate. Fourth year in a row, we have 7 guys going to the tournament. I don't think we have a lot of upside this year, unless there's some surprises. It's wrestling, even though they're ranked number 11. A little bit disappointing as far as having top end guys. Conor Herrera at 157, PJ Casal will have to wrestle their way into the tournament if they have any chance of getting some wins and improving our standings. My favorite time of the year, and that's not a good sign when the NFL draft. What does that say? Is your favorite time of the year when it's my Rutgers team sports or our professional local teams? Nonetheless, something to look at. We had football had their pro day, and really should do something a little more in depth about that. Especially now that we're heading into draft season. We had all 32 teams were at Rutgers Pro Day, so that's a good sign. I think we're probably going to pick up several guys. Maybe some guys might not get drafted, but they'll be undrafted free agent signees. Apparently Tyreme had a good day. Dimir, 4.32.40 and 18 on the bench press at 5'10", 181. That's good stuff. Dremel surprises. He had a 4.4.40. Tyreme had a 4.6.40. So that kind of raises his stock. He didn't do the bench press. I'm guessing that has something to do recovering from his wrist. Robert Longerbeam, he had the great combine. He didn't really do much at the pro day. And a bunch of guys, Keontae Hamilton, Aaron Lewis, Aaron Young, Reggie Sutton, Desmond Igmanosin, Flip Dixon, Shaquan Loyal, all likely did enough work to raise their stock either in late rounds or as undrafted free agents. We'll have to get deeper into that. Nonetheless, a very ignominious end to the most anticipated season in Rutgers basketball history. It's going to be interesting to see how we approach building the roster this year. Coach did say he's going to, go through the portal, and he's going to want to do what he wants to do: rebound, play defense. Although I think he's going to be less of a portal guy than some of his peers. Rick Pitino now is eschewing, doing away with chasing after high school recruits. He's just picking guys out of the portal, which you kind of figure Pitino would do. He's a college coach that's really a professional coach. Steve Peichel, still a little bit old school. He wants to be, like Coach Shiano, be a developmental program. Nothing wrong with that. Keep guys in the system for a few years so you can develop some chemistry and develop a style. Guys coming in, coming out every year. It's going to be hard to build a culture and a style of play. Nonetheless, it's going to be interesting. I wouldn't even be that upset if our recruiting class was like 50th this year. Like I said, I almost rather have those Caleb McConnell kind of guys that play some perimeter defense. Yeah, you're going to pull out some large volumes of my hair when they can't hit a big shot down the stretch and it's rimming out. Nonetheless, everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you the next time.